The sad part of this entire case is that the congressman had a chance back in January when the House reorganized itself to take a subcommittee chairmanship on the Science and Astronautics Committee, which I believe would have been of great benefit to the 12,000 out-of-work unemployed scientists and engineers in Dallas County. And he turned this down to keep this D.C. committee assignment.
Well, I try to reverse it. We want to close the gap on the trade. You recall, I believe President Nixon did announce last week in Hawaii that the gap would be further closed by around 1.1 billion. I believe the Japanese, the Prime Minister, announced at that time that they would be buying American products amounting to that much in the near term.
This is Dr. Joseph H. Jackson, pastor of the Olivet Baptist Church in Chicago for the past 31 years, and he's also the president of the National Baptist Convention, USA Incorporated, and you've just been reelected for your 20th year as president this morning. Dr. Jackson, if we may, let's first discuss religion. What is your feelings toward the new black theology movement?
My feeling is that it's good gymnastics, mental gymnastics, but it isn't the kind of religion that represents the broadest possible aspect. You see, the Christian religion is not restricted to race or nationality. It's for all people. And those of us who are Christians, we don't believe that you can have a theory of God based on color. I don't believe God is colored. And some of the writers reduce everything to color. Christ is colored, and God is colored, and God has to come to us in his blackness. Well, now, blackness isn't purity all the time, neither is white all the time. So that, to me, black theology is just as far off the point as white theology. If you notice in our National Baptist Convention 92 years ago, our parents didn't refer to color. The only national convention, Baptist, that we had was by Negroes. You see, the American Baptist became the Northern Baptist and the Southern Baptist. They split over the issue of slavery. But our fathers named our convention the National Baptist. There's no racial label on it at all.
What would you tell a young person that would come to you and ask, what color is Jesus Christ? What would you tell him?
I would tell him that Jesus Christ is not known by his color. It's by his character and by the quality of life that he brought. In other words, the wrapping paper isn't what I'm concerned about when I buy a steak. It's the steak I want. But in these days of colorphobia, many men and some scholars have tried to make Jesus Christ colored. And some have objected to him because they say he's white. But he's above that. He transcends color. It is a quality of life that he represents.
We can move to another subject now. You have spoken out quite firmly on national and international issues, especially the war, developing your own peace plan. Do you feel that there is a point in here where the church and state should be separated, or do you follow that theory?
No, I think when it comes to the matter of peace, it's a matter of principles, you see. I believe Christian people should not try to take over the management of politics. I don't think I should go to the White House and form a picket line to picket something that's being done, because I don't know why the president is doing it. But I can help to create a moral climate out of which public opinion is made, and that of itself will help our statesmen. I don't think that a minister ought to try to be a professional politician. If he does, he's restricted to that party, and he has to do what the party tells him. There has to be some voices that are not limited to partisan politics, that a man says what he believes irrespective.
Well, you were booed
this morning when you spoke out in support of President Nixon. You have come out earlier this week endorsing President Nixon for re-election.
Yes.
Apparently, according to this convention this morning,
your endorsement doesn't follow the thinking of a majority of the group.
Of course, you see in a convention like this, you have people who are not members of the convention, and they can set off a chain any time to get ready. What I said was this, that if Senator McGovern does more in the way of concession, that's what I was talking about, than Mr. Nixon has done, he would have to carry a white flag. Mr. Nixon has been over there with communist China and communist Russia. He's made every reasonable concession. Now, if any man is going to make a greater concession than that, he has to carry a white flag.
Do you feel that the majority of
the National Baptist Convention will go along with your support of Nixon?
I'm not concerned about supporting Mr. Nixon as such. I've had several invitations to come to Blacks for Nixon. I haven't gone. I don't plan to go.
But do you feel that your endorsement is in the mainstream of blacks in this country?
I'm not concerned about that. There's an issue at stake, and many people will not see it. Here's a man who adopts a philosophy of government that is foreign to the United States. Here's another man who's still in the tradition of the United States. Now, Mr. Nixon hasn't done anything for me, and I supported him before. I supported him then because it was a protest vote against the way Mr. Johnson was treated by the Democratic Party. And the next thing was I wanted to see whether the tempo in this country would change if you had a new administration. Those were the reasons.
You call McGovern's way of government a committee.
No, it's this. I don't invent it. Mr. McGovern headed the committee on guidelines. The committee drew up those guidelines. They reported to the National Democratic Committee. They put them in operation before the National Convention met. And you don't ever, in a democratic society, when you deal with the matter of membership, that never comes before a committee, it goes before the main body. And they took the committee, and the committee reported to a committee. Then the committee decided who would be in the convention. And that's government of committees, by committees for the people. That's exactly what they have in the Soviet Union.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Dr. Joseph Jackson, the president of the National Baptist Convention, USA Incorporated.
In competitive sports peaceably. Know that 11 people have been innocently killed? Will we insist that the United Nations in the future take firm action and be consistent with its own philosophy? And will the
peace plan.
Remember that those who live with us are our brothers, and that we will bind up the wounds against us and become, in the spirit of the Olympics, brothers once again. If we can make this dream come true, then these 11 athletes who have given their lives for what cause I do not know will not have died in vain.
We won't tell you where this house is located in Dallas County simply because it could be embarrassing to someone who is innocent. But quickly, we'll tell you that it's relatively new. It is brick, 3 bedrooms, air-conditioned. It is also abandoned and virtually destroyed. This house is an extreme example, but it is also like many others in Dallas County that have been abandoned by their owners who do not have the equity in the house through federal subsidies or whatever reason to pay the realtor, the Federal Housing Authority to assign a new loan to a new buyer. And especially when you're 2, 3, 4 months behind in your payments, it's so much easier to take what you consider of value and leave during the night. That's what happened here. The federal program of subsidy for homeowners was designed to teach responsibility, to give people an opportunity to get ahead. But no matter what the program, there is sometimes abuse, as you see here. Maybe the government should issue a test in responsibility before it issues a check for opportunity. Somewhere in Dallas County, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
If a Baylor Bear fan were given the advantage of touring the Baylor premises and meeting the new coaching staff headed by Grant Teaff, he would be pleased. There's a feeling of relaxation here on the squad, not as in the past. And I think even though they may not be the strongest squad in the Southwest Conference, they'll give everybody a good ball game. I talked to Coach Teaff about his offense and about his team.
We have a slot I formation. We believe that for this point in history, that's the best suits our personnel and what we're going to try to do offensively. We feel that we'll be able to have the personnel that can throw the ball, so we feel like we can get a good effect out of the slot eye. We have some good running backs that we can put at tailback, which will give us a good running attack out of the eye.
Are you thin at offense?
Yes, we are. We're going to have a lot of freshmen in backup positions. We can put 3 teams on the field depth-wise, but virtually no experience and not too much size and very young.
Would you discuss your defense for us?
I think we can have a pretty good defense. We've got some personnel returning that's played in the past. They have some technical skills, I think, that'll be very beneficial to us this year. Again, the area where we're hurt most of all is in depth of experience in the defense also. Totally our depth is a real problem, Jerry.
And to look now at those quarterbacks. Neal Jeffrey, Robert Armstrong, Randy Cavender. Once a Baylor Bear, always a Baylor Bear. Right, Neal?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's true. My dad was a Bear, and I've always, just I've been interested, in the school, and it's football all my life.
The life of a quarterback is easy or rough at Baylor, Robert?
Oh, it's pretty nice. There's three of us, but we all have a good time, and we try to make each other work for their position, so we have a good time.
How do you feel about your opportunities this year?
Well, I think the opportunity here at Baylor for a quarterback that starts tremendous, but so far I don't think I've performed up to my capabilities as of yet in this point of the season.
Coach Teaff feels that by mid-season his defense will play a very capable ball game. Two of the big reasons are potential All-American defensive end Roger Goree and newcomer from Tyler Junior College, Millard Neely.
During the past several years, I think we've had a pretty good defense, and we've got 8 starters coming back that know what's happening and where it's at. Plus, we have some junior college and freshmen from last year coming up.
What prompted you to come to Baylor?
Well, the coaches mostly. I think they have a tremendous coaching staff, and I'd just like to be working.
What weight would you play at this year?
260, 255.
From the AstroTurf at Baylor Stadium, this is Jerry Haynes for Channel 8 Sports.
The marriage between our own people and those of other denominations, it'll be much easier for the old regulations making it so difficult for relations between them will be made easier. Things like this are happening. But on all the major issues of fundamentals of the faith, Dr. Blessed Trinity, the Incarnation, the authority of bishops, I think these will always remain.
For example, it has been one of the age-old beliefs, outdated and outmoded beliefs, that one of the reasons for keeping the races separate is to keep the whites from catching the venereal diseases of the blacks. And from the case finders, we find that just the opposite seems to be true. The only thing that we have as a race that the whites don't have, it seems to be, is sickle cell anemia. And everything y'all got, we got.